Hey guys, it's Henry of Mowers and Blowers again. Sorry, I just took a shower, whatever. Anyway, so I got a text from my buddy Jason. You know, he lives about a couple of blocks away from me. He does exactly what I do. He does more in-depth stuff. But anyway, he gave me a call and he said, "Hey, Henry, you want this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if you're gonna throw it away, I'll take it." You know what I'm saying? I've had a few of these before. They're kind of a pain in the ass to work on because they're so huge and takes a lot to get them going and stuff. But maybe I'll get lucky, whatever, you know. It's at least good for parts. He also gave me this horizontal small snowblower wrench. He said it works. Some other crap, you know what I'm saying? So I'm over here at his house and just thought I'd show you what his hoard looks like, you know. So this is my buddy Jason.
What's going on?
He's working on what is that, Long Boy, right?
22 on.
That's pretty good, man.
Yep.
And he's got a couple of things over there that he's working on. But check out this hoard, man. Jason's got some good stuff. He really does. He does very well too, you know.
On top of tools, you can never have enough tools.
So what Jason does is he's a little bit more higher end than me. He'll go and spend 50, 100, 200,
yeah.
200 bucks on a really decent snowblower, fix it up and sell it for like 500, 700, you know what I'm saying? So that's his profit margin.
The most expensive snowblower I sold was an Ariens for 1900.
1900 bucks for an Ariens. That's a big boy, right?
And 1128.
$1,900?
Yep.
I could never get that kind of money, you know what I'm saying? But that's his thing, that's his shtick. And the thing is, though, I think with that, you have to work less on your stuff than I do, right? I mean, the condition that you get something for $200 or $100, it's going to be way better than I get, like free, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta paint the wheels, so you gotta put tire chains on it, put different set of skid shoes. I modify the impeller on every snowblower I sell. You know, and some of them I just service them. So, you know, when they try and haggle with you, you just say, listen, you know, it's been serviced. You know, and that value is built into the machine because the guy around the block charges 300 bucks.
300 bucks for a tune-up?
With new belts and everything. So how much do new belts cost? 20 bucks?
Yeah, exactly.
So just that little bit.
100%.
Goes a long way. And they can't argue with that. They can't argue with it.
So with his shtick, I mean, he's been extremely profitable. The draw for him is he's on one of our I wouldn't say major streets, but it's a street that's pretty busy, you know. And so what he'll do is he'll park all his stuff right along where my van is, you know what I'm saying? And he gets a lot of traffic. Problem with that for me is that people will know where I live and stuff. And so if you don't have a really reliable piece of machinery, you know, I don't want people looking for me. You know, nobody really wants that. You know what I'm saying?
I got faith.
He has faith and he does a good job on everything, so that's his confidence level, you know. But anyway, just wanted to introduce you guys to Jason. He's you know, we both do exactly the same thing. But like he says to me all the time, there's plenty of customers for everybody. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so
there's no shortage. Everybody's looking for something.
100%.
You only do so much.
And he helps me out. Sometimes I try to help him out if he needs a part, or he needs a part, or I need a part. We kind of swap parts and stuff. So it's a good relationship. We actually have like 2 other guys in our neighborhood that do this. You know, I think everybody's gonna find that somebody does this in their neighborhood. You know,
Absolutely.
It's a good living. Anyway, see you guys next time. So it's a new day. Today I'm gonna work on this thing. That's right, a little change of pace here, you know. I've worked on this maybe, I've had a couple of these things. One was successful and one wasn't. This one looks like it's in much better shape than the other ones that I've had. So Jason gave this to me. It seems like there's just something clogged is all it is. Can't pull it. I won't even try hard, you know, but something stuck, you know. And looking at the evidence, could be a whole lot of stuff. These flailers are infamous for coming loose and getting stuck. I think the first thing I want to do is probably just inspect what could be stuck there, right? And you got to do that first, because you can't even start it to see if it works, because it won't pull, right? So you got to clear the clog or whatever's stopping the flywheel from turning. So I think the easiest way is to take this chute off. It looks like it's just 4 bolts. The chute comes off. At least we can see what's going on in there. If I can't loosen up or figure out what's going on there, unfortunately, we're going to have to take off all these bolts there, connecting the shroud together. Basically just splitting this thing in half, just so we can see what's blocking the blades from moving. Once you unblock the blades that are moving, flywheel should turn and be able to spin it and then start the engine. That's not a good sign. Anyway, Jason gave this to me for free. He didn't want to mess with it. I don't blame him. Later on in the evening that day, he says, you know what, I'm throwing some more stuff out. So he gave me this. He threw it out on the curb. I went and picked it up. He lives literally a block away from me. He said the engine turns and runs. It's a pretty complete snowblower, with the exception of the auger. It's a little beat up. It's in bad shape, you know. But, you know, I'll keep this in my shed. Maybe I'll come around a auger someday, or need parts from this, you know what I mean? Or I could just part this out, you know, but the engine still runs, so I don't want to part it out, you know. I want to try to get it going someday, you know. Got those parts there. Got that cover over there. Also have this Ryobi bag. It's very narrow. Ryobi bags usually go with Ryobi mowers that are either electric or... I mean, that looks like electric. I mean, you know, that looks like a 25-inch or something like that, you know. Probably won't be able to use that. It looked like a good deck in the beginning until I, you know, inspected a little bit more, and... I know I could probably, you know, weld it or something, but honestly, it's not worth it. Not worth it. So I'm just going to, you know, keep the wheels, handle, check the rest of it out. And that's the 3 gas cans. You guys know I have terrible luck with gas cans. I almost spill my fuel 90% of the time because my gas cans always suck. So you know what? Out of these 3, maybe I'll find a good gas can, you know, that won't spill. So that's some free stuff. And I'll get cracking on this. Along with other projects. I mean, it's like, you know, like I don't have enough to do, you know what I mean? This one's good. Solid for the past couple of days. No air leakage. I'm just patching up a couple of inner tubes there. Maybe make 2 flat wheels good again. So I can put that on this thing, which I'm still working on the linkage. Working on the carburetor. But this engine runs. Sometimes the solenoid works. I guess with a fresh battery, the solenoid always works, but when the battery's like dead, the solenoid won't even move, so I have to jump it. But front 2 tires, I'm just amazed. Still holds air after. I've had this for like almost a month now. Haven't really done too much to it because I've prioritized my tasks. I've had more other lawn tractors I was messing on here and there, as you guys know. That's my jigged linkage there, steering linkage. It works, turns. Anyway, it's a work in progress. There's always projects to be done, but I thought it'd be interesting to tackle this thing today. It's kind of cool. I mean, I like shredders, you know. It's always fun watching sticks getting pulverized in here and shot out, you know, into sawdust. I mean, I like shredders. I just wish I had a better one, you know. But this one, I don't know. Maybe I'll keep this if this runs good, you know, and works. If not, I'll sell it as is or partially fixed. But I'll try to fix this today. I just removed 3 half-inch nuts. chute comes off. Yeah, it's pretty rusty. This is the inner blade right here. Look how rusty it is. Really rusty. Get the washer here. These other ones didn't have washers. Yeah, that's pretty rusty. This big pin in here and that big pin in here hold the cage, the safety cage, if you will. I'm going to take that off and then use a crowbar and see if I can loosen that flywheel up in there. But this looks pretty rusty, man. I also noticed this when I was pulling this up. Look at that. It's rotted away pretty well there. I don't know. I'll dig in a little bit more and see what I should do about it. Well, it took some doing. Boom, boom. Knocked that out there. Shot it all out there. It's really rusted. This bugger won't even come out. Oh, look how bent up that is. I'm going to try to move that around. So after sticking this crowbar in there, check it out. It moves a little. But there's so much rusted crap in there that it only moves up to that. It won't move anymore. See, it moves about a couple inches, and it won't move anymore. Because I think that throughout the entire thing on the bottom, so much rust buildup under there and crap. It's not gonna let me turn that flywheel. So unfortunately, I'm going to take all that apart just so I can clear that stuff out, you know. Flipped it on its face, and I was able to extract some of the bolts that were holding the thing together, but there were some that were just so rusted that, especially the bottom one here, it doesn't even resemble a bolt. All gone, you know, because this is the part on the bottom where it's always touching some type of moisture, you know, water, whatever, leaves that are damp. And so, you know, those are going to be the worst condition bolts, you know. I was able to extract most of them, you know, but to get it all off, I'm going to have to grind it off. Do the rest. So I loosened up all them bolts. This was a pain to get off too. This cover here. So technically this should just lift off. Yes, it does. I'm gonna use two hands, guys, so I don't hurt myself. Here we go. What y'all think of that? One of you guys remind me why I'm doing this again? Just throw the whole thing out! Nah, maybe I'll salvage it. So about 10-15 minutes worth of digging. I think I was digging like I was on an episode of Curse of Oak Island, you know? I was digging and digging and digging. You guys watched The Curse of Oak Island? What's the story with that? I've watched like 8 years of this damn show and they haven't found jack squat. But I'm gonna watch the next episode. I can't help it. I gotta see if they find anything. Anyway, I've got a whole bag full of rust here. Bag full of heavy dirt and rust. Looks like poo-poos that I dug up from here. But just check this out. You ready? What? No way! It's got compression too. I feel some resistance in the engine. It's free. Look at that, man. It's free. Unbelievable. Of course, these flail things are all rusted to hell, you know. I'm gonna try to loosen them up a little bit, but look, I'm not restoring this. I'm just wanting to get it started, you know, and running. That's all I wanted to do about it. And just sell it as is, you know what I mean? You get more for it if it's running. If it's not running, it's scrap, you know? So if I can get this running, and it'll tear up leaves and crap, you know what I mean, and sticks as is. But I will try to loosen that stuff up and see if these flailing things start flying around, you know? And, here's the blade. I'll just take a grinder to it and sharpen it up, you know. But these flailing things need to move around. I'll just spray some penetrating oil on this stuff here. And use a hammer and just bang it back and forth and loosen them up. I betcha I will. Even though it doesn't look like I can. But I've done it before. But flywheel seems pretty loose now, man. And of course I will need to find some new bolts for the ones that I grinded off. Probably about 4 or 5 of them. But that's pretty good progress, man. Didn't take me all that long either, you know. Messy, but satisfying to be able to get that to turn again, man. When you saw that big turd before, it was like, man, that thing's all rusted shut. There's no way it's going to turn. No way. Yeah, it turns pretty easy, man. Look at that. Pretty cool. So it's about an hour later, and I've soaked it with PB Blaster, and what do you think? You think I loosened it up? What do you think? What do you guys think? Look at this. Oh. 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 Oh, look at that. Oh, smooth. The flailers are loosened up. That. Amazing, right? Of course, I did almost use a whole damn can of it, but whatever. It's a learning experience, man. You guys got to look at this stuff as a learning experience. You could say you did it before and what works and what doesn't. That's what it's all about, right? Bringing crap that's left for the junk pile back to life again. Maybe somebody can use it. Like me. Maybe I'll use it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. I'm not sure. But, yeah. Flywheel spins now. The flailers are loose. I'm just going to find some bolts and put the top back on. See if we can start this mother up. So it looks like it's about to rain, so I'm just taking what I'm cannibalizing off of that horde. And I'm bringing this to my backyard and putting in my parts bin. I'm curbing the rest of this stuff. You know, a year ago, I would never throw this stuff out. I'd always find a way, you know. I'd like I'd weld that together, maybe with some sheet metal and paint it over and stuff, but I'm at a point now where I get so much stuff, it's overwhelming, you know, so much stuff, and I just can't keep everything, so, you know, it's like a sickness, you know. I want to keep it, but I know that I'm not really going to use it. There's too much work involved. The wheel brackets are missing on this side, you know, and that thing's always a pain in the ass, you know, so I'm just saving what I could possibly use in the future and just dumping it, because honestly, in this area, it's just a pain in the balls. So I feel pretty good about it, actually. So I'm in my backyard now. That's my daily driver. I just use that to suck up leaves and stuff and mow the lawn. And I've got my supply of 6 Snow Commanders. Same thing as this one. Got one of those things over there somewhere. That one starts up easily. I got a Jacobson 26 dual stage. That's my inventory to sell. It's ready to go, all of those. I'm going to store this now somewhere in the shed. I've got one of these cargo carriers. Actually, I have 2 of those cargo carriers that I use to store parts. It's my John Deere that I just finished. There's my Craftsman LT1000 that I finished. Still needs a belt, but I'll screw with that. My Scott's, the Kawasaki engine's in there. Still needs a stator charging issue, fuel pump issue. I think that's it. Not bad. I'll work on that next year. Or if I get my list of priorities finished, which seems like I'll never finish, you know. Anyway, so this cargo carrier just pops up. Got a horde of parts in here. You never know when you're gonna need it, fellas. You never know. You know, I try not to throw anything away because I know I'll need it someday. That's right. I listed these things on eBay. Some nut out in Iowa or Montana or something gonna want it, you know. They're pretty light, you know, so shipping it is not an issue. Always need good wheels, you know. You run into a mower that doesn't have a wheel, hey, you got a wheel. There you go, fixed, done. I have to remember to keep these pulleys in a place where I remember, because if I run into a snowblower and I go, where is that damn part? Put it in the front here in the corner where you can kind of see it. And then you put the drive belt near that area so you know that this is from that, you know. And this one goes into the shed. Here in the shed I've got some more baggers, some wheels. Got my John Deere RX-75 transmission in there with the wheels on there. Some extra wheels, snowblower tires. I've got 1, 2, 3 power washers where they have good engines. You guys know and seen these fixes. Unknown if the pumps work on this, but I'll find that out next spring when it gets warmer, so I can try out the pump. See, I have another snowblower over there that is just the carcass frame of it. Lots of handles. Got a cover there. This is my Beast 1333 with power steering. 2 halogen lamps, 1 LED. Big boy. This thing goes through snow like butter. Anyway, I don't whip that on until I get like a nor'easter, you know. So I'll throw the snowblower in here. Actually, you know what? This thing actually has electric start. What the hell? That's cool. That's like a $30 thing right there. Got 3 mowers there I still have to sell, but if I don't, save it for next summer. Alright, so I just put everything back together again with the screws that I could salvage, you know. I don't have every screw in there, you know, I'm missing maybe maybe like 5, but you know, I put them on all the right areas. If this thing starts, I'll I'll find some and put them back in there, but don't start. No point on putting all the screws back in. Got the chute back on. Got the cover back on. Got the cage shield back on. 2 bolts there. Problem is now, it won't retract. Too rusty in there. Fortunately, look, I'll take the whole damn engine cover off, and this thing is seized, throttle. So I gotta take the damn thing apart anyway. This is very similar, if not exactly the same, as my go-kart engine. It's like a Tecumseh Power Sport. I believe that's what that is. So, let's see here. Take the cover off. A couple of bolts over there to get the cover. Got to take the gas tank off. I got to do it anyway, you know. Air filter assembly. It's just a plastic cover. Comes off with one nut, you know. Here's the throat of the carburetor. Just PB blasted this throttle. Starting to move now. Just gotta work it back and forth, man. Actually, that feels okay now. Need some kind of like, ouch, you know, some kind of little tab here, plastic tab. I don't know where to go now. I guess I have to remove the gas tank. I don't see any damn screws anywhere though, you know? Remove 2 screws here. This is really all frozen up pretty well. I mean, I've got my hand on the governor. Doesn't move more than a millimeter. This part over here is completely frozen up. Can't even touch it. Can't even move it. Seized. I got a feeling we're gonna need a new carburetor. You know, I don't like to spend any money, right? But I don't think this is gonna be salvageable. At least the carburetor isn't. I mean, oh, it's kind of moving now. I guess if I loosen it up, it may start to go. This is a pain in the balls to get this cover off, you know? I guess I have to take it apart anyway because I looked in the gas tank. It's all like gooey in there. This has been a royal pain in the ass. Look how much dirt is in there. Incredible. And the cowling of the engine. Look at that. Crazy, right? It's insane. So the bad thing about these Tecumseh recoil starters is that they have tapped it. Basically, they take something big, knock it in there so that this is much bigger now, see? So you can't remove it. So basically, I mean, I've done it before, but it's not worth the time, really. Not to mention the fact that this engine cover has seen its last days. You know, it's in bad shape. So this was definitely not going to start, even if the recoil starter did work. You know, that's not getting any spark. There's no way. You know, carburetor, all that stuff. It's a lot. You know. I don't know, I'm gonna have to weigh this and see whether or not I even want to continue, you know. Don't even know if the engine works. I'm gonna go see how much a new Recoil Starter costs. I don't even know why I'm even considering buying it, but you never know. Could be super cheap. I doubt it though. We'll see. So the coil inside the Recoil Starter was all rusted up and broken into 3 pieces. Luckily, I had a brand new coil that I had from an old lawnmower. And so as you guys know, these Tecumsehs are very difficult to change the Recoil Starter because they're pretty much permanent, you know. So basically I was banging and knocking, and I ended up to be able to take off the coil wheel, and I took it off and I replaced the inner coil. And then to get this back on, I had a makeshift washer in there with a spring and a sealed bolt right there. And so now what you have to do is you have to ensure that when you pull the handle, right, it has enough tension on the washer to hold the top part down. So when the top part down, it allows the wings to fly out like that as you pull. That's what grips the cup on the flywheel and spins it along with your pull. When you release, it goes back in and retracts. And at the same time, you don't want that middle bolt or screw to move, because then after a bunch of pulls, it'll come off, right? So it's tight enough on there with the washer and the spring just to grip, to get the wings out, to hook onto the cup on the flywheel to spin the motor, and then to retract, it goes back in. So I think that I've done it. I think this is only like the second Tecumseh flywheel recoil starter that I've fixed. It's a pain, right? But I looked online, and a new recoil starter for this is about 15, which isn't bad, you know what I'm saying? But then I'd have to rivet it back on here again, and not to mention this is not in great shape anyway. So I didn't want to spend any money in getting this fixed and then finding out that this rust bucket doesn't even work, you know? So that would be money wasted. So I managed to fabricate a way for this to work properly, and I believe it does. You know, seems to be pretty cool. It works as it should. Following what I'm saying? And I don't think it'll come off because the boat's not even moving or turning. Sprayed some WD-40 in there just to smooth it all up nicely. So I think that'll work. So next thing I gotta address is the carburetor. I did check for spark, believe it or not. I got spark after of course I grinded this down. I know it doesn't look like it, but believe it or not, it was filled with rust and stuff. So it's generating spark, decent spark too, which is pretty amazing if you ask me. I'm going to remove, as you can see closely here, I'm going to have to change the fuel line too. This is requiring quite a lot of work. But hopefully we can get this thing started, you know, and that would be nice. So I'm going to remove the carburetor from its intake manifold and check out the situation. I've extracted the carburetor. I didn't take off the intake manifold because it looks like it reaches all the way in there. I'd have to remove a lot of things. It was easier, not easy, but it was easier to remove just the carburetor bolts right there off the intake manifold. Man, is that rough. Needle is stuck in there, seized. This is in down position. Seized. I'm going to see if I can find another Tecumseh carburetor, because this one is a lot of work to clean. I found myself an older Tecumseh carburetor with even a good seat, which is rare. Everything is clean and clear, and it's exactly the same one. I'm going to get a carburetor rebuild kit that I got. While I have a good supply of old carburetors to mess with, I also bought a set of 5 Tecumseh carburetor rebuild kits. These are cheap. I think 5 only cost $7, and I got them from China, so it did take about 3 weeks to a month to get here. But you know what? If I wasn't in a rush, you know, I could just order them for super cheap and have them, you know. If you guys work on these, and I know you do, the Tecumseh carburetors are very common, and they always mess up, you know. So it comes with a bowl nut jet gasket, a seat, a gasket for the bowl, and also a new needle. It does come with the pin for the needle. Okay, cool. Now beware, Tecumseh uses a couple of different types of needles. The big fat one that's longer, and the little thin one. So I was putting the little thin one in, and it was like, man, why is that float bowl so low, you know? And I figured out that it was the longer one that I needed. It's okay, I got both. There, I got a new bowl, new pin, new float, new gasket, and it's sitting perfectly. It's supposed to just dip down on the left hand side, just a smidgen. It's not supposed to be parallel to the gasket, just a little bit. That sits perfectly right there. I'm going to tighten up the screws on the new rebuilt carburetor, and I'm attaching a new fuel line. Well, I finally got it all together. Cleaned out the gas tank a little bit. Got a new breather hose. Put a little air filter in the fuel filter in the fuel line, because that tank was a little hinky. Anyway, the governor now clicks nicely. Before, remember, it was frozen. I fixed the recoil starter, cleaned out the gas tank, new fuel lines, rebuilt carburetor. That's more than enough. Took out all the gunk from that mess of the inside, and now spins freely. I'll put some gas in here. Oh, I have to put that chute back on. Took some doing, but here it is. It's running. Rattling a little bit because the equilibrium's off, you know, the balance. This thing is scary. this is my video of my 5 horsepower Sears Craftsman chipper shredder. It took me a long time to do it, a couple of days. It was a pain in the ass. But, you know, I was determined to get it running. Is it like the best machine in the world? Absolutely not. But I guess I wanted to know if I could do it, you know what I mean? Anyway, I jot this down as a success, even though I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it. Probably sell it for 50 bucks or something. Anyway, see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.